Art to me is scary. It's scary in the sense that's like throughout high school, I sort of didn't like get into art until I was in college because it's a very scary field to get into. Like, you don't know, there's no certainty of what you're doing. You never know if what you're doing is right. You never know if what you're doing is wrong. You don't know if people are gonna like it or not, but you kind of just have to go with it and just be sure that you're gonna be okay and that like what you're doing is what you want to do. So that's like so frightening, and it's relief. Like when you do something that really means something to you and you look at it and it's just like, oh, got that out, you know? Like it's awesome in that way. I don't really know that my art like falls under like a classification, but I would say like if I had to define it in any way, it would be like a mix of like Paul Rand and Frida Kahlo, because like Frida Kahlo's work, it's very self-reflective. Like it all kind of shows like a part of me or like something that I'm dealing with, whatever. But like Paul Rand, it's more like simple and there's like a lot of lines and shapes and it's very defined in that way. I moved to Bushwick because I'm originally from uptown Manhattan, like Washington Heights, Inwood. And I moved down here in search of like a bigger art community. Like when I lived in uptown, like I was very like distinct in that sense, I guess. Like people were just like, what? She's like weird, or like there was just no like sense of like community as far as like people who were like me or wanting to do the same things as me. It was very like family oriented, sort of like, I don't know, like a lot of little kids and a lot of like 3 people homes, you know what I mean? And I'm just like looking for people who are young and trying to do the same thing. So I moved here. On paper, you would think that everyone who lives here is like 20, 21, like that's it. But there's like 30-year-olds here, there's people with kids here, there's people with their dogs, you know, like adults. And it's like, so that's just gonna change. Like instead of this being like just 20-year-olds just doing their thing, just kind of fucking up like as they go, it's like people who are like, no, like I own a gallery space and like, what do you wanna do? Like it's gonna be more like networky. I don't think that necessarily the art community as a whole is threatened. I think that what's threatened though is like the more raw art community, like the people who were running away from sort of like high rent and just like certain living situations and came to Brooklyn in the hopes of like finding cheaper places that were still big. Those people are being threatened, and that's more of like the raw art world, like people who are just like doing it because it's honest and it's like what they want to live by, and not necessarily because they're making like thousands of dollars on it. Like that, in that sense, is being threatened, and that is like, it's pretty bad, because like in reality, like the art world, like there's 2 separate art worlds. There's like the people who were born into it and sort of already have what they have and didn't necessarily have to work for it, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just they have that privilege and it's awesome. And the people who are working towards it, and the people who are working towards it, like their art is just totally different. Like it's just so much more real in that way. Like it's something, it's more honest because it's more self-reflective, and that's gonna move out. And what we're gonna get instead is more like poppy stuff that's like what's cool right now. And that doesn't mean it's being threatened, it just means that it's changing.